Excuse me.
Easy, Tiger. Yeah, so the rest of Comic-Con, before we go back to Marvel,
Yep.
go a little bit to DC, something that's very dear to my heart.
Yep.
Green Lantern. Yes, of course. I mean, how much have you actually heard about it up until now?
A fairly minimal amount.
So you know about Ryan Reynolds playing Hal Jordan.
Yep.
You've heard about Mark Strong playing Sinestro.
Yeah.
There's an actress named Blake Lively playing Carol Ferris. To be honest with you, I don't know her because I don't watch Gossip Girl, and apparently that's what she's famous
Oh, is she?
for being in. You got Peter Sarsgaard playing Hector Hammond, who'll be playing the bad guy.
Yeah.
If you don't know Hector Hammond, he in the comic book traditionally he ends up being infected by an alien substance.
Okay.
Over all the different versions, there are different means for this substance, but it ends up making his head grow really, really huge, and he has incredible telepathic and telekinetic powers, which are really very dangerous. You know.
Sorry, I just had a flash of Despicable Me then for a second.
It's kind of just huge head, literally. It does his head becomes like 3 times the size of his body.
Excellent.
By the time it's finished in the comic book, I don't know how far they're going to go with it in the film, but they are saying it's going to be a cross between the established origin done from a comic called Emerald Dawn, which was done in the 70s,
Okay.
and the recent Jeff Johns run.
Yeah.
So to make sure that the green and yellow balance goes on, so like the green willpower, the yellow fear, weakness go in. There's even mention of Parallax, the yellow entity, being in it.
Oh, right, okay.
Now, on the Comic-Con panel, they ended up talking to Ryan Reynolds, and he pretty much perfectly rattled out the oath. In Brightest Day and Blackest Night. Did the whole thing, and the entire crowd erupted hearing him do it.
Yeah.
He's also sporting an actual Green Lantern ring from the set, which apparently he's going to be keeping. It sounds like he's actually become quite firmly a fan in it.
Yeah.
Of the Green Lantern itself, even though going into it he didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Now, this is one of the things. There are some actors and directors and so on that end up going into a franchise film or a comic book movie, and they know plenty about it. So, like Sam Raimi did with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But in this case, apart from the screenwriters, the majority of the people that have gone into Green Lantern don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they got Jeff Johns as a producer on there, who has been working on it and did the Blackest Night saga. But Ryan Reynolds knew a little bit about it, but not a great deal. Martin Campbell knew nothing about it until he got told the concept. Do you think that that's actually going to be a successful combination of people who are actually new to the franchise? Do you think it's going to be a case of that they're going to bring something new to it, or do you think it's going to be more of a disaster considering who's on board?
I don't think that you should necessarily judge how well something is going to end up by how much people know about it to start with.
People do.
Yeah.
All the time. That's what the internet's made for.
Yes. However, I found that a lot of the best sort of productions have come out of a lot of people who actually don't know a lot about these things, mainly because they have to go and learn about it.
Mm.
And if you have to go and learn about something, you aren't going into it with a massive amount of bias. Whereas if it was a whole bunch of people who are already absolutely the biggest fans and absolutely in love with it, they would have their own personal biases as to...
Is that even a plural?
Oh, I don't know. About what bits they love the most, and therefore what bits they should be putting in.
Yeah.
Which is not
probably
always...
Watchmen is a very good example
exactly,
of that.
Which, Watchmen in many ways, they did a great job insofar as here is a fairly blow-by-blow representation of.
Yeah.
But, which is great from some points of view, but is actually not how you make a good film.
Well, just for reference, Sarah and I actually saw the movie together, with my wife, and we sat there, and both Mandy and I ended up complaining of headaches afterwards, and you felt it was a bit too close to the source material, didn't you?
Yeah.
If I remember what you said on the day correctly.
Yes, it did slightly annoy me because exactly what you've just said, it was too close to the source material. It was too much about, I want to make sure that I have accurately portrayed every single little image from this comic book,
Mm-hmm.
which is, you know, great, lovely. I'm really pleased that you want to stay close to the material, but actually doesn't make a good film.
No, you
And
just
so-
end up watching the comic that you've already read, really, don't you?
Yeah, which if I wanted to do that, I would just read the comic again, save myself the money.
You see, a lot of things I ended up hearing after Watchmen came out, you know, you ended up getting some praise, and it made a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
But the things I heard more of was it's basically exactly the same as the comic, and more often than not, that was a derogatory remark.
Yeah.
And people complaining about the lesser things that were left out
Yeah.
because of the fact that they were really, really purists on the whole Alan Moore original.
Yeah.
And felt that, you know, that all of those things were just as necessary. Like, for example, you know, the really minor change to the ending, which, to be fair, was actually my favourite part of the whole thing. That they had a more original reason for how it ended than it did in the graphic. Now, this is me trying to be as spoiler-free as possible, of course.
Yes.
But the fact that it was actually more somebody showing a overwhelming genius towards it that nobody could actually argue against,
Yeah.
and therefore actually compelled one person to act as opposed to this one man's ego and being able to argue everybody to a standstill and just get on with it anyway.
Yeah.
Because then it became very much one person's act, not the decision amongst the lot of them that it was for the best,
Yeah.
which is pretty much what Ozymandias was able to do
Yeah.
in the film version. I felt I actually found Ozymandias stronger
Yes.
for that,
Yes.
just because of that one change.
Yes.
And it's a shame they didn't actually put more little changes like that, I felt, throughout all of it.
Exactly, and that's actually what I'm hoping that will be the plus side with sort of the Green Lantern,
Mm-hmm.
because you've not got all of these people. Because clearly with Watchmen, pretty much everybody who was in on it
Mm-hmm.
was, oh, we love this, oh, it's our baby, and oh, we've got to just be absolutely perfect, and everything must be note for note, page for page, dot for dot,
Yeah.
exactly right. And as I've said, it just didn't make a great film. It made an okay film.
Yeah.
It made a film that you'd watch. You go, fine, I'm glad I watched it. But it's not a film that you're going to sit there and think, I really want to watch that again.
So
As soon as you walk out, you don't think, I want to go straight back in and watch it again.
I mean, I dare say people who are really big fans of the comic in the first place
Yeah.
would have bought it, but you don't see it as being something that the ordinary film goers would go and buy on DVD.
I can tell you for a fact that no, it wasn't massively successful on DVD.
Just to make a point, Sarah actually works in a branch. She's actually a manager of a branch, which I won't specify just because, you know,
Thanks.
in general. So you feel it's going to be more a case of like a lot more freshness coming out of it because they are
I hope so.
virgin to material, as it were, but not unlearned.
Well, yes, because they are going to spend the time to find out what should be important about it,
Mm.
as opposed to going, we already know this, so we know what's important about it.